Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about the worst movies of 2019. This was, I would say, a pretty good year, but also a pretty good year for bad stuff. We got 2 Norma The North sequels, which is pretty crazy. Spoilers, I guess they're both on here. And we got a lot of Disney live-action remakes. We got, whoa, it was pretty bad. It was bad, especially for animation. We did have good stuff in theaters between Klaus and I Lost My Body and Toy Story 4 and all this stuff. But we also had, it was pretty bad. So, knowing that, that's what we're going into with the worst of 2019. The real worst movies, the worst direct of the entire year. Now, I guess I usually do a thing about what the movie I was most disappointed in, rather than one that's the worst. The movie that I was kind of expecting would be good, at least, and wasn't. And I would say that would be Star Wars Rise of Skywalker was the movie I was most disappointed in of the entire year. So, there we go. Yeah, I would say that's the most disappointed. Don't think I really need to talk more about that, and I don't think anyone ever really does ever again. So, after this, let's go into it. One of the things about the worst of, I don't have enough time to see as many movies as I used to, and I also get to choose movies for the most part, although you guys, want me to see certain things and all that. Because of that, I don't see every worst movie, so this is only a top 6 worst movies of the year. And my number 6 kind of gets a different distinction, because I gotta say this is the best worst movie of the year. It is absolutely deserves the distinction of being a movie that is really bad that I would watch over and over again, and I want to show people and get drunk and watch it and give it like all the praise and love in the world. But I also think it is one of the worst movies of the year. To say, when I make these lists, I actually like to put what is actually the worst movie at number 1. However, of all these movies that are bad, and everyone goes, haha, bad movies, I love to watch bad movies, whatever, that's strange. But I understand that to a certain degree. But if you want to watch a worst movie that is watchable, that you can watch with your friends and have a good time with while also being bad and horrifying, it has to be this one. This one gets the distinction. If I was actually like doing an Oscars for worst movies, I just want this to win because I sort of love it being a bad movie. So that's why it's kind of not in the top 5. It's almost like an honorable mention, but you can't talk about this year in terms of bad movies without talking about this. And that would be at number 6, Cats. This is just like ugly and beautiful all at the same time, and it's like hard to understand like why I was so compelled by it, because there were a few times I was like, man, this is going on for a little bit, and then it would just like pick me back up again in its own stupid nonsense. Like I was like, man, what do jellicles do when jellicles do, or whatever. Andrew Lloyd Webber is like really bad. Like I didn't know this, but like he, other than Memories, which isn't even that long, he sort of sucks. Like sometimes when you see a musical, like a big musical, turn into a movie, like Into the Woods, I wasn't really into that. They're like, it had its moments, but Cats is like legitimate, like this sucks. Like I don't get, how is this the biggest musical ever? Like I don't even understand. Like is it because like maybe you could be a jellicle, but like I don't even understand like how you could be like a fan of this. Yeah, this is really bad. I wouldn't even say it's the worst movie of the year, because it's just like, it makes me wonder about what the fuck happened with this. And like studio filmmaking now is like so safe and so prepared, and so they can't have epic disasters like this, and the fact that this happened makes it wonderful. I just love that this movie happened. I love that it exists. I love that we got a shit pile of a mess of a movie, and that's kind of what's so enjoyable about it, because it's like utterly fascinating. It is definitely one of the worst movies of the year, but I would say it's the worst movie that's the most watchable of the whole year. Alright, so number 5 is a notorious bomb. People sort of forgot about it, but it was pretty bad. This is mostly animation. It was a bad year for animation. You know what? When Pan said it in his video, I was like, it's not that bad. And then I'm looking at the list before I shoot this video and go, oh fuck, I think it was kind of bad this year. Okay, the number 5th worst movie of 2019 is Wonder Park. felt like they're just pushing this through and getting what sort of feels like a movie, but this isn't like a complete film. It's just kind of like a very messy, strange movie that they put too much money in. I kind of appreciate it for its messy strangeness, and I think definitely you can. I don't think it's like the worst thing ever. I think it's decently entertaining, but it is, as a narrative and as a complete movie, it's just such a blah, like, you know, but it's kind of like an interesting blah. I'm like, oh look, there's corn in your throw up. Like, that's kind of what Wonder Park basically is. You know, I think this was the year of 2 Norma The North sequels. I think it's the only time we've done a worst movies of the year list and 2 films from one franchise have gotten on it. I think this is one of the only times that was even a plausibility. But obviously Norma The North is on there twice. The only distinction I will give them is I thought that this one is maybe the best Norma The North movie, but it's still, you know, a bad Norma The North movie. And that is number 4 with Norma The North King-Sized Adventure. This one, I'm like, hey, it's not that bad. It's only like sorta bad. No, it's still bad. But it's not like, you know, Norm dancing around gyrating bad, which they spared us for. I appreciated that this was not as painful as it usually is. It was not good. It did not entertain me in the least, other than that the Lemmings straight up murdered some fucking Komodo dragons. That was sort of interesting. There's a fart jokes with the Lemmings. The Lemmings were very involved. I like, you know, it was much more of a throwback. I think this is Norm finding him. The filmmakers of this clearly were finding the roots of the character, and this is a return to form for the franchise, which I think the franchise desperately needed after the crass commercialism of the second film. This is far more finding who the true character of Norm is, and that he's an inconsequential person shifting in the winds of time, not finding a place for him to ever be, and wondering if he'll ever have that place, or if his place in life in the universe doesn't really matter at all, and he should just experience the life that he is in, whether he is important within it or not, just making sure that he has a good time and brings joy to the people he's interacting with. Or he's just a fucking jerk who says a bunch of stupid shit all the time, and people put up with his idiocy for some reason, and he got to be king because of a bloodline bullshit or something. None of the rules in this world make sense, and he kind of helped out this weird like Indiana Jones thing, and they have a Maltese Falcon reference in this, for real. This movie is just, it's bad. It's a bad animated movie. It looks like the people just made this because they're like, hey, you know what will sell? Which, that's weird to me, that there are people who are like, you know what, a new Norma The North movie, gonna go see that on demand or something. That is so strange. I guess that's a thing or something. I really don't know who is paying for these other than myself and other people that make reviews criticizing it. I don't know who else is. I feel bad for those people, but maybe I don't. Maybe they're happy that they're watching a king-size adventure of Norma The North, which is sort of pathetic, and they should have better taste, but that's their life. Think of that. That's somebody's life, that they watch Norma The North movies and they enjoy them. Like, that's gonna keep you up at night. Probably more than this movie did, because I fell asleep during it. I did rewatch those parts because I hate myself. Number 3 is kind of I would say the biggest animation bomb of the year. That was also pretty terrible. I mean, I saw it and the cold brew hit, and it was number 3 with Arctic Dogs. My brain just felt so unchallenged of like, what do I do with this? Like, what even is this? Like, are we for real with this? Like, you can't even give me a bad Arctic Dogs movie right now. I need that in my life. I think we all need that. That's what you wanted. That's what you wanted this review to be. You wanted me to be ripping apart Arctic Dogs. But it's just like, there's nothing to rip apart. It's just like an inoffensive junk. It's junk in its anonymousness. And it's not having much to say. It's trying to be, I don't know, I guess thinking this is what animation is, this bland and boring. Like, I get that these people don't like animation and they made Arctic Dogs. They literally sucked the soul out of the whole medium, even in the bad sense. What's even here? What is he? There's this dog and he can disappear in the snow, and then they don't even bring that up for a lot of the movie. It's like, why even have that? Like, that barely became a thing. Why was Heidi Klum have 2 roles in this for some reason? And she sounds exactly the same. So I don't understand that. Like, there's just so many things in this that is just weird. Arctic Dogs is probably the most disappointing, bad, major blunder movie I have seen this year, because it can't even bother to be an effective, good disaster of a movie. It is just a disaster that is kind of not even very notable. And that is the worst thing about it. I really wanted something horrifically bad or something underrated. I didn't expect that, but just like give me something, and you gave me nothing. That is the worst. This is one of the worst things ever, because it can't give me anything to be excited about, to rant and rave about how horrible it is and everything like that. Arctic Dogs leaves you with nothing, because it presents nothing that you haven't seen before by actors who care nothing about this project. And then you just walk away thinking, man, how is Norma the North more interesting than this? And number 2, and this is shocking that, yeah, this is the other Norma the North movie, and it's shocking it didn't get number 1, but I think number 1 was way worse. But this still deserves a mention. It was probably worse than the original Norma the North, maybe. Or wasn't? I forget. Doesn't matter. Number 2 is Norma the North, Keys to the Kingdom. There's so many things about this that I question, that questions myself for getting attached to this, that somehow Splash Entertainment has sucked me in. Am I the only one to be thinking about Norma the North? Am I the only one theorizing about Norma the North? Has Norma the North trapped me so that I have to speak about him in this endless sea of abyss that is these films, where I watch this like badly animated gyrating polar bear kind of dictate my life choices and rest of 2019? Is this what my life is? And unfortunately, I think Norma the North not only got the keys to the kingdom, he grabbed the keys to my soul and won't let it go. And Splash Entertainment has taken us all and shown us it doesn't matter what we do and how we object, they will keep pushing these things out, and nothing can stop them. Not on demand or algorithms, because that will work in their favor. And that is the ultimate political statement that Norma the North has showed us, that nothing can stop something as terrible and bland and as uninteresting as Norma the North. No matter how many of these negative reviews we make, Norma the North cannot be stopped. So we get to number 1. And look, I don't normally put big movies at number 1, but number 1 was bad. In fact, I consider it the worst movie of the year, believe it or not, on this countdown where you're leading to this. And it was awful, and it wasn't good. It was really bad, and I kind of don't want to let this era go by saying yeah, those were forgettable, but they were so bad, and kind of letting them go, because the Disney live action remakes are all horrible, and this was maybe the worst one. I don't know. I don't like any of them. I don't get why people put up with them and make excuses for them. Sure, Aladdin had some decent performances in them and was sort of well cast and kind of tried to make it its own, so I guess I didn't put it on here. But Lion King was awful. There's no going on about it. I'm not going to be oh, Jungle Book wasn't bad. I've never believed that. Jungle Book is awful. Everyone that's not Pete's Dragon is terrible. I don't get these movies. I don't get why people want them. I don't get why people like them. I don't get them at all. And I've seen every one of them, and they're all horrible. They're not good. They add nothing to the conversation, and they're basically ruin the art of animation. And I don't care if this movie's animated or not, because it's bullshit, and also, it is the worst movie of the year, and that is The Lion King. For a film or a sequel or a remake to be successful, it has to have a theory on why it exists. And this film just doesn't really have that at all. It doesn't have the fun to it. It just has a book report explanation on why it exists. And I kind of don't think we really need that. I find this just another upsetting, kind of boring movie, and it doesn't really add anything to film at all. What's really interesting is this is not really character based. We don't really meet Donald Glover as Simba or the kid as Simba as actors and as personalities. We see them reading lines from the original, and I don't know if I really needed that. I wanted their performance and their perspective on it. And that's what I got from Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen and Keegan-Michael Key and Eric Andre and a little bit John Oliver. And I didn't get that from a lot of these actors, which I got from Jeremy Irons. And I got from that. And it's I was really hungry for that perspective. And I think when I got it, it was probably just some sort of a release for some sort of an interpretation. And this wasn't one. This was an interpretation that kind of plays as a companion piece, but it's like a really crappy companion piece. And I'm hoping that they find new perspectives on these things, because having the same old perspective just done looking real isn't a perspective. It's sort of just like making the story like work for people who aren't interested in animation and aren't interested in storytelling, frankly aren't interested in filmmaking. I'm not really interested in people and filmmaking and ideas that don't want to have fun with these ideas and go into them and use them and exploit them. And I think it's like kind of like the cinema sins of movies, where it's totally, completely bankrupt of artistry, and we just kind of stare at it and wonder, like, who does this help? Who is amused by this, and who is entertained by this, and what is this exactly doing to all of us? And I think it's maybe more dangerous and maybe more wasteful than it is an actual movie or piece of art, and that's pretty sad in the end. What's crazy is I like Mandalorian so much, and this is my worst movie of the year. That kind of shows you the ups and downs of making stuff. So, sorry this is so late in the year. You know, it happens, I guess. This is later, I think, than I've ever done it. But it is here, worst movies of the year. I want to do the decade ones, but I think I'm going to wait a little bit because there's more time-specific stuff. And, you know, the decade just continues to be over, so I think I'm okay with that. This was the year that was in terms of bad movies. I don't know what's going to happen this coming year. I mean, we are getting another Norma The North movie pretty soon after this. And maybe, I don't know if another one's coming out. I don't know what else this movie this year has to offer. We got that Banana Splits movie. That wasn't bad. It was just, did anyone expect that happening? I don't know. It was an interesting year. It was a year for bad movies, and now it's sort of over. I don't know what to think about this year. It was like a massive year in terms of box office and stuff, and it was a pretty notable year for bad animation, sadly. You know, we move on from, like, I guess what the worst of the year was. Hope for the best, but I think it was a pretty notable year for some truly, truly terrible motion pictures. So if you would like to tell me below what you thought some of the worst movies of the year were, you know, top 10, top 5, whatever, then comment below in the comments. I might tally this up for the next movie crap after this, or maybe give it a week or something like that and figure out what you, the viewers, thought were the worst movies of the year. So count those down below. I'm sure someone will be like, hey man, I didn't think The Lion King was that bad. Why are you so mean to these movies? So if you're going to write that, you don't need to. I just said it. Anyway, so comment below what you think the worst movies of the year were, and subscribe if you would like to.